When Kevin was at University of Texas for that 1 year, I routinely predicted on the air, this guy is going to win multiple scoring titles in the NBA.
With the 15th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks select Giannis Antetokounmpo from Athens, Greece.
This kid has as much upside as most anybody in this draft.
He's the most talented basketball player on earth, if not of all time, honestly. Just so gifted.
Giannis is the best player in basketball today. Like last year, he was the best player.
He is a legitimate 6'10", okay? He's got a handle. He can pull up from 30. I know the three-point line says 19-9. Kevin Durant can pull up from 30.
We haven't seen a player like Giannis. We haven't. A guy that is 6'11", that can run like a guard, that handles it like a guard.
He's the most dominant player in the game today, and credited as being the best player in the game of basketball.
Talking from a basketball skill perspective,
that's your
Giannis
definition.
is phenomenal. He is great, but he ain't Kevin Durant.
Right.
The obvious advantage that Giannis has over KD is that he is way more physically dominant. Both KD and Giannis are physical freaks. Both of them are 6'11" with a 7'5" to 7'6" wingspan and elite athletes. But the difference between the two is that Giannis has nearly 30 to 40 more pounds of weight compared to KD. This allows him to dominate his matchup physically way better than Kevin Durant and allows him to play with a certain level of force that rivals the likes of LeBron and Shaq. Without question, Giannis is arguably the best finisher in the league today. In the regular season this year, he nearly shot 81% in the restricted area and a little over 78% in the playoffs. This makes him the #1 finisher as far as percentage-wise of all the high-volume shot takers in the restricted area. Now, while KD did shoot 79% in the restricted area this year and 67% in the playoffs, he doesn't nearly have the volume of shots taken in the restricted area that Giannis has. And when we use the eye test, Giannis is clearly the better finisher between him and KD, as KD can be far more effective when going to the hole and met at the rim with physical resistance. As for Giannis, he's going to absorb the contact and finish way more than Kevin Durant due to him having a far more superior lower body strength and upper body strength, which allows him to fight through the contact of even the most physical and toughest players. Now, as far as defense, I believe the two are actually closer in ability than what people are actually giving credit for. When we look at them strictly as on-ball defenders, you can really argue they're about the same, really, because neither one of them are lockdown perimeter defenders, but they both can have great moments on the perimeter, like locking up their opposition and playing great defense on elite players. But when you use the eye test and really watch them play on-ball defense, you can argue that Kevin Durant is a better on-ball defender than Giannis, because more times than not, Kevin Durant is going to guard the best or at least an elite perimeter player more so than Giannis game in and game out. KD also proved to me that he can move his feet on the perimeter better than Giannis as well. Now, is he going to have the effect, let's say, a Kobe Bryant or a Tony Allen, Bruce Brown, or Tayshaun Prince will have? No. But will he do a decent enough job? He will, but that still doesn't make him a better defender than Giannis. As an all-around defender, Giannis is just better to me. He's the more versatile defender, as he can guard positions 1 through 5 without being a liability. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, can guard positions 1 through 4, but when you put him up against a power big like a Giannis or a Joel Embiid, he's going to struggle because he doesn't have the girth to match up with them. He's the more aggressive off-ball defender and makes quicker defensive rotations. And lastly, he's the more dominant enforcer in the paint, as he only allows 51% made baskets at the rim, which ranks him 7th in the whole NBA, and Kevin Durant isn't even top 30. So off physical dominance, being a finisher at the rim, and all-around defensive play, I have to give Giannis the edge over Kevin Durant in those categories. Now let's look at what Kevin Durant does better than Giannis. The first thing that Kevin Durant does better than Giannis is shoot the basketball. This season, Giannis only shot 30% from 3, which doesn't even rank him top 150 in the NBA. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, shot 45% from the three-point line, which ranked him top 7 in the NBA. And when we look at their percentages from the mid-range, it's not even close. Kevin Durant beats him by a landslide. This season, Giannis shot 36% from mid-range, which is better than his percentages from the past years, but he still didn't shoot it at league average. KD, on the other hand, shot 51% from the mid-range this year, which put him top 5 among all the high-volume mid-range shooters. We all know how important shooting is in the NBA today. While Giannis is one of the greatest players the game has ever seen, his inability to shoot the basketball at an adequate level can probably be a liability to his team. While KD, on the other hand, is such a great shooter, he's opening up the court for his teammates because he's bringing the defense out, and it causes them to guard out further than what they normally would, which can lead to easier shots for his teammates. The next thing that KD does better than Giannis is shot create, and he's the more clutch basketball player. I put the shot creating part and him being more clutch in the same category because the two kind of go hand in hand on how I'm going to explain it, so y'all just bear with me. Kevin Durant is the ultimate shot creator. There is no area KD can't score from. He can create his own space off the dribble from the mid-range, the three, and create shots out the mid-post and low post. And more importantly, due to him being nearly 7 foot tall with a 7'5" wingspan, he's not fazed by any type of defense that is thrown at him because he can just rise over the top of the defense. From the PJ Tuckers, Kawhi Leonards, and even Giannis himself, none of the elite defenders can stop him from scoring buckets at a high clip. Giannis, on the other hand, isn't a great creator off the dribble for perimeter shots due to the fact that he isn't a natural perimeter player and he's more of a paint player who just has great ball handling skills for his size. Now, KD being a superior shot creator plays a part of him being the more clutch basketball player. In most of the clutch situations, the jump shot is going to be the best available shot for you to get off. A lot of times this is going to be the situation because the defense is going to be packed in the paint, preventing easy shots, and defensive rotations are going to be quicker. So when we look at Giannis in these situations, we know that Giannis is a below average shooter. So he isn't going to be your go-to guy in those situations. But KD, on the other hand, being the ultimate shot creator in the game today, with no spot on the court he isn't lethal at, and him being one of the top 10 shooters of all time, he is the better option in the clutch and has countless of times proven he's the better clutch player than Giannis. Now, Giannis is proving he's the better finisher at the rim, the more physically dominant player, and the better all-around defender. While KD, on the other hand, has proven he's the better shooter, the more clutch basketball player, and the better shot creator. They both do a lot of things great and are arguably two of the top 5 players in the league right now. So to determine who's the better player between the two, I must determine who's better at taking over a basketball game and imposing their will on the game. In the NBA Finals, I gotta give it to Giannis. He was great. He averaged 35 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists, and was clearly the best player on both sides of the basketball. And in that closeout game, he had 50 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks. And he took over that basketball game in pure dominance and effort. But I'm not oblivious to the fact of what I seen when he played the Miami Heat. Against the Heat in the playoffs this year, he only averaged 23.5 points and shot 45% from the field. A lot of that was due to the great game plan Eric Spoelstra had against Giannis and the increased resistance Giannis faced going to the hole against them. He wasn't getting the easy half-court drives that he was getting against the other 3 teams in the playoffs he played this year because the Miami Heat actually built a wall preventing Giannis from getting into the paint from the perimeter. And when he did have it in the post, the help defense was a lot tighter and more keyed in on Giannis, unlike the other 3 teams in the playoffs. So against a great defense, which the Miami Heat have, and Giannis not having a consistent jump shot hurt his ability to be able to take over the basketball game, like he did against the other 3 teams in the playoffs, and more specifically against the Phoenix Suns in the finals. KD, on the other hand, like I previously said, has no weakness in his offensive game. So you can't limit him to no shot on the court because he is great at everything as far as it comes to scoring the basketball. We can literally go down Kevin Durant's whole career and see countless of times of him taking over basketball games and winning them for his team. We can look back in 2018 in Game 3 in the finals when Kevin Durant scored 43 points and took over that basketball game while Steph was struggling and Clay was struggling. He was hitting all type of shots that game, and he also made the big time three to seal the win for his team. Or we could look back in the 2019 playoffs in the first round when they played the Clippers, and Doc Rivers was literally forcing the ball out of Kevin Durant's hands, and Kevin Durant said, I'm gonna have a 40-point game and a 50-point game to show you that no matter what defense you put in front of me, I'm gonna be able to take over the game at any time I want to. I really can stop right there, but to just put the icing on the cake, let's look at the 2021 NBA playoffs, Game 5 and Game 7 against the Bucks. Scoring 49 and 48 points respectfully in those games, Kevin Durant had an all-NBA defender in PJ Tucker, Chris Middleton, and occasionally Giannis hounded him all series. And again, it literally did not affect Kevin Durant in the slightest. He was hitting tough shot after tough shot, rising over the defense, hitting multiple contested twos, multiple contested threes, and was getting everywhere on the court he wanted to get it. And as great as the Milwaukee Bucks are at defense, they had no chance at stopping him. So while Giannis is a great player and arguably a top 5 player in the NBA right now, and most definitely the most dominant NBA player, and also a reigning champion and the reigning finals MVP, he still has to prove to me that he can take over a basketball game at any circumstance. But see, Kevin Durant, on the other hand, has shown me that for the past decade. So in my eyes, Kevin Durant will always be the better player and is still, to this day, the best basketball player in the NBA. I hope y'all enjoyed my video. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'm out.